All right, it is time once again to talk about another horror film. So, on my last review that I did Pieces from 1982, which is a Spanish film. But I said in that video, it very much reminds me of a Italian giallo film, and I'm a big giallo fan. I love giallo, of all kinds from all different directors. So I felt like doing another Italian film. And this one is definitely a lot more well known, I'm sure, than Pieces. I think Pieces is fairly well known as well, but this one definitely went as far as it even got a remake just a few years ago. And so if you guessed it, what we are talking about today is Dario Argento's Suspiria from 1977. So I'll show you the DVD first. This is just a old Blue Underground DVD. I've had this for a very, very, very long time. This is actually, I think, this is my first Blue Underground DVD I ever got, and my first Italian film I ever got too. So kind of a 2-for-1 there. But this movie, like I said, came out in 1977, directed by Dario Argento, starring Jessica Harper. This movie, I'll kind of give a basic rundown of the plot. So pretty much, it follows Jessica Harper, the main character. She basically she's starting this dance school in Germany, and she gets there really late one night. She's an American, by the way, and she gets there really late one night. It's storming, it's dark and raining, and it's just very, very chaotic weather. And she gets to the school, and another girl leaves. It takes, as she's coming in, another girl is leaving the school and running off and saying all these crazy things that Susie doesn't really understand, and which comes in, that becomes important later. But anyway, the girl leaves. Susie's not able to get into the school for whatever reason, so she gets in her cab and just, I believe, finds another hotel or something. And so then we flip around to the girl who left, and she is going, to a different hotel. And she goes in there and is basically, she's murdered very violently in the giallo style. The very, hand coming in off camera, just doing the stabs, and very violent, but very artistic violence, and it suits the, it really kind of makes you feel a certain way, and it's just a great opening scene. This is probably one of my favorite openings to a horror film. I just love this little first kind of act, and then the next morning, of course, Susie goes back to the school and she's able to get in, and from the get-go, she notices things are not quite right there, and we, as an audience, we kind of get this feeling, but she can't really place her finger on it, but just something is odd, something is weird that's going on. And again, like, as the viewer, we kind of feel the same way. And then it kind of just spirals from there. It goes really just kind of batshit crazy, and then once you find out kind of what's going on at the end, again, I won't give it away. It's great. It's such a great reveal at the end. It is I always call it, whenever I'm referring to it, I call it a supernatural giallo film, because it has the elements of a giallo movie, but it is absolutely very much a supernatural film, which is a lot of fun. This movie has great atmosphere. I love the school that they're in, or whatever this building actually is, but it's a dance academy in this movie. It's beautiful. Dario Argento's directing style just is amazing. Everything he's ever done, is just not everything he's ever done. Let me rephrase that. Most of his older works, especially this movie, Deep Red, Inferno, Tenebrae, he even shot, I talked about Two Evil Eyes, here a while back. He directed one of those stories in that movie. So he has a very great directing style, a lot of great colors in this movie. This movie is very, very colorful, lots of reds, greens, blues, lots of red. That's the main thing. Like I said, we're given more red. Lots of red in this movie. A lot of very vivid colors, and I love that very much. Dario Argento is very, he's well known for that style of lighting. I suppose is what you'd call it. But I love it. Just these bright neon colors. And another thing about this movie, kind of what drew me into this movie originally, was the music. This has one of my favorite musical scores in a horror film. It's so spooky, and it fits the atmosphere of the film so well. It just complements really everything that's going on. The music is done by Goblin, which Goblin does a lot of music for Dario Argento. I know that he did the Deep Red score. I think he did the music in Tenebrae as well. What was the other one? I just had it in my head. He also did. If you don't know Dario Argento, I believed he was a consultant on the script for George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. So there's a version, which I have it on DVD, and we'll talk about this one day, but there's a version that has the Goblin music in it, and I actually prefer watching that version over the regular George A. Romero version. Other than that, it's not really that different. But again, we'll talk about that another day. But the music is so great. I remember the first time I ever heard of this movie was years and years ago. I know I've talked about this in one video, but it was A&E or AMC, one of those channels. They did this thing called 100 Scariest Movie Moments, where they would basically just go over all these scenes in these different horror films, and actors and actresses would talk about them and kind of explain the impact that it had on their life and things like that, and just their personal experiences with it. And I remember seeing the trailer for this on there, and I'd never heard of this movie before, and the trailer, if you know what I'm talking about, is so eerie. It just gave me the creeps from the get-go. And from the second I finished, I saw that trailer and I heard the Suspiria, that come in, and the dinlin, 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 the music, I was enthralled. I had to see this movie, and I remember, like I said, my mother got it for me, many years ago. So thanks, Mom. So I love this movie. I didn't, when I very first watched it, I didn't really understand it, which I guess because Dario Argento does explain it very well. Like now watching it, I know exactly what's going on. But I suppose whenever I was a kid, I was fairly young the first time I saw this. It just kind of, I don't want to say it's convoluted, but it wasn't what I was expecting, I think. But over the years, I've just fallen in love with this movie, and I know exactly what's going on now. Excellent movie, excellent. Like I said, the music, the atmosphere, just the way that Dario Argento films these films is just it's excellent. This is definitely a dark, a late night, stormy kind of night movie. Especially the first beginning little portion of it. That is so great. I could watch the beginning of this movie over and over and over again, and it's fantastic. And it's one of those movies too when you can go back once really kind of what's going on in this movie, and you go back and rewatch it. You get it from a whole new perspective, and I think that is awesome. I always love whenever you get something like that in a movie. And Dario Argento, like I said, just his storytelling is excellent. There's such a great little story going on in this movie. So this movie is actually technically it's part of a trilogy that Dario Argento did. So he did one called the Animals Trilogy, which was Four Flies on Grey Velvet, Cat o' Nine Tails, and then the Bird with the Crystal Plumage. I have not seen Four Flies on Grey Velvet or Cat o' Nine Tails, but I have seen Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and I love that movie. This one is in a trilogy, which is Suspiria, which was in '77, Inferno, which was, I believe, right at 1980, I believe, and then Mother of Tears is the last one, which came out in 2007. So I love Suspiria and I love Inferno, but I have not seen Mother of Tears yet. I know. Shoot me. Bury me in my own graveyard of DVDs. I have not seen that one yet. I'll probably watch it, because what I was going to do is this. Me and my wife just watched this the other night, and she actually loved this movie too. She really liked it. First time she'd ever seen it, and she thought it was great. Bless her heart, she's such a sport. But she watches all these kind of screwed up and all these different movies that I watch. She watches them with me. She's right there with me the whole time, and I thank her for that, because if not, I may not be able to talk about some of these. But anyway, this movie, like I said, I love this movie, and I love Inferno. And what I plan on doing was doing the trilogy, because I would like to do that with Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy. But I love all of those movies too so much. I would like to cover them all individually. So maybe I'll do like a I'll lump them together in a video. So this probably won't be the last time you hear about Suspiria. You know, it'll probably come up again, because I do love this movie. And like I don't know if I said it already in the beginning of this video, but there is a remake that came out, you know, not too long ago, a few years. I want to say like 2017 or 2018, somewhere around in there, if not newer. It's been a few years. I haven't seen it in a while, but we'll talk about that one too at some point. But for now, we're just going to stick with Dario Argento's classic. And like I said, this movie is probably a lot more well-known as far as Italian movies go. But it's really great. So I am going to score this one pretty high, if you haven't guessed. I don't know if I said it in my last video, but I do have kind of a soft spot for these Italian horror films. You know, a lot of them, even though, you know, sometimes they're not the best films. But this movie definitely, even for an Italian film, you know, or just a film in general, this movie's excellent. I would recommend it to anyone who is in the mood for a spooky supernatural horror film. You know, I would absolutely recommend this one all day long. So I'm going to give this one absolutely a 5 out of 5 because I enjoy it every time I watch it. You know, every time I see it, it's almost like I see something new that I didn't notice before. And it's just such a fun movie to look at. It's so colorful and so bright, you know, and even though it's a very dark, you know, very dark tone, you know, at the same time, like it's just very, and the whole feeling you get from this movie is very just very strange, you know. Again, as soon as we get into the school, we really kind of realize what, you know, that something is wrong here, but we don't really quite know what it is. And then once you find out, you're like, oh damn, that's interesting. You know, I definitely didn't, you know, they don't hide it, you know, they kind of start to give it away, you know, towards the middle half of the movie, but still, whenever it finally came out and blatantly showed you what was going on, it was just, you know, it was awesome. I'll also say this movie has a really just at the very end, this movie still to this day, there's this scene, and there are a few movies, not a lot of movies really scare me, really at all. The movies that, you know, there are some, like August Underground, I talked about, that movie's very uncomfortable to watch, but it doesn't scare me. You know, there's a few like that. They don't really scare me, they're just an uncomfortable watch, you know. But there is a scene in this movie, but there are still a few, you know, out there that will kind of give me the creeps every once in a while. It just depends on when I'm watching them, you know, what time of day I see them, all that good stuff, or just what kind of mood I'm in. But there is a scene in this movie at the end, again, I won't give it away, but it gives me the creeps every time, just the context of it. You know, it may not be the same for everybody. I'm not going to give it away, but this is one of those movies that still does get a little kind of, you know, out of me every time. I'm like, man, you know, and not in the same way that, like, you know, Lucio Fulci's eye gouges get me. You know, that's something completely different. Zombie 2, we're probably going to talk about that soon, I hope. We'll see. I don't want to blow my Italian load just yet, just like I don't want to blow my Friday the 13th load. I hope you guys liked those, the Found Footage Friday I did last Friday on Friday, or not last Friday, I'm sorry, a few Fridays ago on the, you know, talking about Never Hike Alone. But yeah, so check this one out. I'm going to rank it a 5 out of 5 because I love it. I enjoy it very much. Very, very much. Great movie. Great movie. Like I said, can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing here? Go out and watch it right now. Dig yourself up a copy of this. I absolutely think that this is a must-own for anybody's DVD collection, whether you like just horror or you like Italian horror or whatever you like. Like I said, this is the Blue Underground version. It's 2-disc. Mine is loose in here, right here. But I love Blue Underground. They're one of my favorite DVD companies. Them and Scream Factory and Arrow are probably like my top 3 DVDs, you know, and Blu-ray producers, you know, company or whatever you want to call it that I like. I just love their presentation. Yeah, so if you like this movie, leave a comment below and just tell me what you think about it. Or if you've never seen it, go out and watch it right now. Pick yourself up a copy of this. Or I think it's free on Tubi, if I'm not mistaken. I think the remake is free on Tubi as well. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. But absolutely see this movie. Do not skip it. 5 out of 5 all day long. So anyway, thank you guys for watching so much, if anyone is watching. And have a great day. That was Dario Argento's Suspiria.